What is going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us on your Thursday afternoon over here at Pardon the Disruption. We are happy to have you tuning in. Real quick, I am your host, Matthew Potter, short sale king, also hedge fund connection, and co-founder of The Family Tree at Real Broker. Go ahead and hit me up for more information on any of those wonderful three things. We're going to go ahead and explain today's rules for everybody. We're going to try to keep this one under control, but with this panel, all bets are off. What will happen is everybody will have 45 seconds to answer one of the 6 questions that we will present to them. After that, we have 2 minutes where everybody will chop it up. And then we will go ahead and award a point in the event that I am indecisive, which will not happen today. I can promise you that. We would go ahead and go to the studio audience for them to go ahead and shoot us an answer of who wins that round. Also, for our 6th question, we are going to go ahead and have you guys go ahead and comment, or you can text in at 33777 question and have yours featured. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panel today, starting off with Steve Trang.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Steve Trang, Real Estate Disruptors. I'm super excited for today's show. We've got a bunch of chaos already before we even started. Been doing this for close to 16 years now, seeing almost anything and everything that can go wrong in a transaction. And we do have our live 2-day sales training come up at the end of the month. If you're interested in attending inside our office, go to salesdisruptors.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Next up, we have the always happy Eric Brewer.
What's up, everybody? Pleased to be here, even though Jimmy's on the show this week. Power through that. One of only 2 people that were actually invited to be on this show. Both Leon and Jimmy are stand-ins. So I represent 50% of the talent here. The other 2 are just simply mannequins with a mic. So happy to be here. Excited to get started. This should be an easy win for me today.
50% of the talent, 100% no points. Next up, we have Batman. What's going on, Leon G. Barnes?
Yeah, so I get a late bat signal to come on in. So apparently, the other 50% talent has no talent, because part of being talented is the availability piece of being on the show. So I'm not going to name any names. My name is Leon G. Barnes. I'm here to represent the collective genius and come out of here with a win here today.
Absolutely. Very happy to have you here, Leon. And last but certainly not least, everybody's favorite character, we have Jimmy Vreeland. What's going on, boss?
Hey, hi, everybody. Jimmy Vreeland, Cash Flow Tactics. I've been out of the country. Last time I was on the show, I had a dominating come from behind victory. So I'm happy to be here to defend my title.
Yeah, not gonna lie, that one's still in dispute, boss. It's still
Dude,
in dispute.
The last 5 minutes, the most per second. It has to be a Pardon Disruption record.
It absolutely, and we are all more informed for watching that episode.
Yes,
Right.
a dominating win when you did not win the point total. That's
Absolutely. This is why we haven't invited RJ back yet. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into it with our first question today. What type of real estate investing are you not doing right now that you would want to do in the future? Go ahead and start us off, Steve.
I thought about this. I don't really have a great answer here because, there's part of me wants to get into multifamily, but truly, do I want to get into multifamily? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the direction I ultimately want to go. But, of all the different options out there between self-storage and multifamily and everything else, I would say maybe one day become a GP on the multifamily side. Having a team that actually reaches out to all the landlords and the owners and cold calling them and mailing them and this and that. I guess I forfeit this year. I'm not really excited about any particular real estate investing opportunities. I'm pretty happy with what I got going on, and I think if I were to expand, it would be outside real estate.
Ooh. Okay. Steve's off in the metaverse. He's off in the metaverse.
An interesting question. Who gets the blame for that?
Look, Jimmy, wait your turn. Wait your turn. Next up, Eric, what are your thoughts?
Big shocker there that Steve didn't have a good answer. So wish I had that 3 seconds of my life back when I heard Captain Optimus there. But actually, I think for me, prior to the rates changing and the market becoming a little unpredictable, I thought I was moving in the direction of doing like large development deals, multifamily deals. And with, when you look at single family and how rates have impacted that, folks that operate on larger deals have seen 10 times the disruption there. And there's just much higher stakes. So multifamily land development, new construction deals for me, I thought was something that I was right at I was right there. And this kind of scared me off. So I would suspect once I'm able to just gain more sort of knowledge to, subside the nervousness I have in the future, I would hope to be able to do those larger deals on land development and multifamily.
Another vote for multifamily. All right, Leon, what you got?
So you have me to blame for this question, Jimmy, and here's why. I get this almost on a daily about real estate investors telling me that they want to use this to scale to something else. And when I say this, I'm talking specifically in single family. So most of them are in single family, wanting to get into multifamily, self-storage, or some type of commercial asset. And usually the right answer is, get really good laser focus on what you're doing and build your foundation first. And then if you want to go into something else, you can do that. For me personally, I'm very intrigued by still doing something that I currently do with residential rentals with mixed use small commercial buildings. In a lot of communities in the Midwest where I invest, there are a lot of older buildings that were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s that need renovation, and it could be commercial downstairs, 1 or 2 tenants, with another 1 to 5 tenants upstairs as well. So for me, it's not too far outside of what I'm currently doing, just adding a little bit of commercial space on the downstairs. So commercial mixed use is something that I look forward to doing in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for bringing this question to the table. Jimmy's clearly thrilled about it. Jimmy, go ahead and answer this one for us.
I think it'd be cool to like have Airbnbs on places I want to travel. Like my favorite place is Branson. It's a huge lake in Missouri. I'd love to have like 10 Airbnbs so that I could do a lot more wakeboarding. But great answer, great question, Leon.
I think Jimmy's the guy, right? Like, you got that group of friends, like, hey, where do you want to go for dinners? I'm totally open for whatever. Okay, hey, how about this place? No, I hate that place. Okay, how about this place? No, I don't like that place either. It doesn't matter what you recommend. He hates everything, but he doesn't want to do any of the suggestions.
Out of all the places that he could have named there, he wants to own Airbnbs. He could have said Paris. He could have said
I'm a simple man, Leon.
My man said Branson, Missouri.
I thought when he said places I want to spend time, he was going to say the men's locker room. Like that would be not a nice little.
Eric, I actually do rent lockers, and I do rent lockers in several men's locker rooms around the St. Louis area. So you're spot on about that.
Makes sense.
I believe that. Now, let's utilize this time to help the audience, though, in regards to the things that they think they want to do today. And why, those things should be potentially delayed before just going and jumping into something that you don't know.
Well, let me just touch on multifamily really quick. And like, it's something that, we've always thought like, I'm going to grow and scale. And eventually I'm going to go to commercial multifamily, whatever. The things that I've learned about multifamily in the last couple of years is, the valuation is a good amount of it is tied to what you can borrow at. And we've been at historic lows and interest rates, right? And so the interest rates and the Fed rate hike, it directly impacts the valuation of apartments. So for me, there's a little bit of concern there. It's great for tax strategies, this and that. Eric and I have had conversations going back probably more than a year, maybe even more than 2 years now, about maybe investing in other businesses. And the reason why, and there you don't get the tax benefits, right? Because you don't get depreciation. There's going to be a little bit more activity, but there's significantly more cash flow, right? So for me, that's the reason why I'm looking at, I'm less excited about multifamily. I'm still going to do it, but it wouldn't be to buy and hold. It would be more of a buy and fix it up and at some point exit it. I think there's going to be an opportunity in the next 6 to 36 months of buying multifamily at significantly distressed prices.
Would it be safe to say that if you're looking at moving into something else to already have a foundation, though, of reoccurring, predictable revenue before you move on into something you move into something that you don't know well. I mean,
I think
is that safe to say?
I think you should absolutely surround yourself with people that are in the space that are having success at it. I mean, fortunately, I was mentioning to Eric earlier, it's interesting, right? Like, unironically, before we all hang out next week, this is the CG crew, right? I mean, you got Tim Bratz, Randy Lawrence, Big Mike, right? Mike Zlotnick. You got Chris, Mike Watson. Yeah, you got Chris. You got Brian Adams, like Chris Litzler, right? Like, you got all the right people in one room. Say, hey, I want to get into multifamily. What are some things I must know before even going down this road? I think first things first, you got to educate yourself. And we always talk about don't overeducate, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Multifamily is no joke. You gotta know what you're doing.
All right, that was an absolutely riveting round by our esteemed panel. We're going to go ahead and give that one to Leon G. Barnes, though. 2 reasons. Number 1, Batman came in and saved the day. Number 2, absolutely love the mixed use, especially with like I'm just picturing like Midwestern like saloons from the 1800s. That's where my mind went with it. All right, next up. What's the one thing in real estate investing that you love the most, and what one part of the job brings you the most joy daily? Go ahead and start us off, Leon.
Yeah, so this is something that, it took me a long time to get to this point, because I've always been someone that is a doer, is somebody that hasn't delegated well in the past. And so it's taken me a long time to get to the point of where what's my superpower? What do I enjoy? What fills my bucket? And for me, it's always been about helping others achieve the things that they want to achieve, whether that's coaching kids in basketball or helping sellers, or in this community, helping, as to Steve's point, if somebody wants to learn about multifamily, connecting them with somebody that has a blueprint, has a roadmap to go down that road, and hand them that blueprint so they don't have to go down that road without knowing where they're going. They have a mentor automatically. So helping others through connecting in community, like with what I do with CG. And then the second part of that is I love real estate investing because we solve problems every single day, every single month. We're purchasing properties that typically sellers can't sell going a traditional route.
Awesome. Love answering both parts of the questions. Let's hopefully keep that up. Jimmy, go ahead and answer this 2-parter for us. What you got?
I still love the negotiating on deals, like every day, whether we're buying from another wholesaler to turnkey, or I don't go on every appointment, but when I still go on an appointment and like get the contract, like I'm still like excited and like fired up. Like it makes my day. So I still love the negotiating part and the deal making. And then when you see a team member kind of grow or do something they didn't think they could do, that is also incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely. All right, Steve, what about you?
So this is gonna sound really weird, but I think for me, the thing I love most about real estate investing is that it allows me to be the best father I can possibly be. It allows me the time freedom, the ability to spend time with my kids, and being a business owner and as real estate specifically, but probably in general, you got to spend a lot of time personal development. You got to be the best version of yourself, and the ability to take everything we learn and teach it to our kids, right, and have them be contributing citizens to society in the future. I mean, for me, I just love watching how much my kids have grown and matured, and I think compared to their friends, they've got an advantage there. And then the second part, about the part that brings me the most joy daily, I would say solving difficult challenges. Right? I kind of said in the intro, I've seen almost anything and everything that can go wrong in a transaction. So when they bring me deals like, hey, here's where we're at, here's the situation, here's where the buyer's at, here's where the seller's at, here's what's going on with this piece of land, here's what the city wants, blah, blah, blah. Just being able to sit down, look at the problem, and come up with a solution that makes everybody happy. That part always fires me up.
Nice. Steve took us in a little bit different direction there. I dig it. All right, Eric, what about you, boss?
So for the first part, I would say, like, if you think about when we talk about real estate, generally, let's say residential, it's people's homes, right? And then you think about inside of homes, or like Steve's answer, families, right? So when you talk about families and homes, there's a pretty measurable amount, gesundheit,
Thank you.
of emotion attached to a home, right? And then you combine it with money. Like, real estate's a high stakes game, right? It has big implications. It has massive impacts on people's well-being. So I love playing high stakes games, right? Like, there's a lot of people counting on us. When someone sells us a home, I think a lot of times as an investor, we see it as just a calculation of ARV minus reno and a little bit of profit. But there's, I would say, a much bigger set of circumstances on the other side. And I sort of thrive on that pressure. I like it to know that there's a lot of people counting on you. The second part would be, building homes, remodeling homes. Like, there's homes in my market in Pennsylvania that have been around for 200 years. So there's this certain legacy of things that we do today, people will benefit from, and it'll leave an imprint on society hundreds of years after we're gone. And, for me, as I imagine, hopefully that the world's in a slightly better place than it was than when I got here. Real estate sort of gives you a unique path to be able to have that impact. And those two things for me are, I think, what attracts me so much to this business.
Chop it up.
The reason that this is another one of my one of my specials here, Jimmy, and the reason that I brought this question to the table is because when talking to real estate investors, most times they say that they want to scale into something, but a lot of times they're scaling out of their happiness. It comes from conversations. I typically talk to Phoenix's own Doug Hopkins, your mayor out there. I talk to him once a month, CG member, and he's somebody that is one of the most, one of the largest real estate investors in the United States, and yet he still gets job joy out of going. He runs acquisitions, he runs appointments, and so sometimes what we think is happiness for us is getting into something bigger, better, or whatever, and focus on finding what gives you the most job joy today. And it doesn't mean that you ever have to get out of that seat, hire people to do the other things that don't give you job joy and drain you.
Yeah, and that's
So
a great
Leon,
point, Leon.
and you're like, what you're observing from these questions, as people get, you go from your basic newcomer in Select to Doug Hopkins, like, been doing it very well for a very long time. Like, does the grass is always greener scenario, in your opinion, lessen as people get more experience?
I think people automatically assume that they can grind for, especially the younger investor, they can grind for a year or two, and then they can go sit, do the 4-hour work week. I think that's unfortunately, social media and YouTube give us a lot of information that people have built businesses. But at the same time, the downfall of that is that they have a lot of people telling them how easy it can be after you get to this, and you need to hire an integrator or a COO and those type of things. So getting into a CEO role or something else within your company may not be the thing that you love to do. So the reason that I brought this to the table was focus on what brings you the most job joy, and then you don't work. Then it doesn't become a 9-to-5 W-2 like RJ has.
Yeah. And I think, you talk about what we love, right? So again, I was talking about, like, I love solving complex problems, right? And, you guys were talking about earlier, you bring people in, you level them up, they learn the skills, and they solve the problems, they don't need your help. And that's incredibly rewarding. But in doing that also, the part that I love the most still is solving complex problems.
Yeah. But at the same time, to Eric's point, how many times in your community on a house that you have renovated, Eric, Jimmy, you the same thing, because I know I've done it. When I'm driving down the street with my boys in the back and so, hey, yeah, daddy did that house and daddy did that house and daddy did that house. You're prideful of your community because it's the old broken glass theory, right? The more houses, the more buildings, what have you, that you're rehabbing in your community, it makes your community that much better. So there's a lot of pride that goes into that as well.
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. I think this is the first time that I've ever awarded a point to Jimmy V. Mainly just because, like, dude, you nailed it, man. Nothing gets me more jazzed than that negotiation and just winning. Like, even to this day, like this morning, I told my wife, I was like, yo, I'm like, I just got this deal under contract. I was bouncing around like, you know, it was the 80s and I'd just been at a party. So, anyways,
Well,
we're going to go ahead and go on to the next one. Good job, Jimmy.
Well,
Everybody's.
I
Do
think
we wait
Eric
for
wants
the
some
next
clarity
question?
on that point.
do we wait for the next question, or I'd like to follow this with another question?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the next question. What are your thoughts on? I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I apologize. I do not speak French. What are your thoughts on Bernard Arnault becoming the richest person through real estate? Go ahead and start us off, Jimmy V.
No surprise whatever. The greatest creator of millionaires is clearly real estate, because pretty much the entire economic system, at least the federal United States system, has always been dedicated to greasing the skids for real estate investors. Like on the CG Select call today, Leon, we talked about being a real estate professional and that how it affects your taxes. Like, there is no good economic reason to create a real estate professional designation for people to take passive losses on active income, other than that the government has always supported real estate investors. Every founding father was a real estate investor, and they built a system to support real estate investors. So this does not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. I'm surprised that the richest guy was not a real estate investor.
My man ain't wrong. All right, Steve, what you got?
Well, I think if you follow that story, right, he got into real estate. His dad was already in real estate, so it wasn't like he just kind of started from the bottom, right? So his dad was in real estate, convinced him to do more development, but then he took that wealth that he had accumulated and started investing in businesses, right? This is how he got Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, Moet, and some other brands that I don't even know what the heck they are.
Tiffany, Dior, big names.
Yeah, big names, right?
Steve, all the places I shop at.
Yeah. So
Clearly.
But you saw, like, there's two ways to create wealth, or two of the biggest ways to create wealth is owning a business or real estate. He took the real estate success and he put it into business. And that's kind of what I was talking about for question one. Like, for me, as we expand, I'm going to start investing in other businesses to diversify, and I think maybe potentially create a little bit more upside. So I think it's awesome. I think, even listening to Eric earlier, right? He loves developing. That's what Bernard's family did. So it's amazing how much connection there is through in wealth being created through real estate. And it's nice to have one in the top 10, top 100, because most of those other guys are CEOs or invented something. So it's cool to be represented, number one, that he started in real estate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Eric, what are your thoughts?
I got to be honest. I just Googled this guy 2 minutes ago. So
Should have read the chat, bro. Should have read the chat.
but like quickly reading over it, right? It's like I expected to only see the thing in Wikipedia to be about real estate. Looks like he was out of high school, went to a very prestigious engineering school. His father had accumulated some wealth in businesses, and he convinced his dad to pivot into real estate, but continued to thrive in the building and scaling of businesses. And I think as you look back on every entrepreneur over the history of time, there's always been an element of real estate, whether it was how they started their business, or at some point, everybody that accumulates a certain amount of wealth develops a massive tax problem. So a lot of these people that develop these brands like Louis Vuitton and Dior and Tiffany and all of this amazing stuff, they create a ton of active income, and the government taxes the living piss out of it. So the only way for them to be able to really retain all of this wealth that they create is deploying it into hard assets. And then over time, the guy doesn't look like he's in his 20s. He's been at this now for 50 plus years. That the value of the assets he bought 50 years ago have 10x'd in value. So he's not only retained all of that equity, he's retained probably a large portion of his active income from his businesses, because he has the real estate to offset the tax bill. So to me, whether it's him or the other 50 people on the Forbes list, there's always an element of real estate in it. You either need to start there or at some point pivot a lot of your active income to protect it into real estate.
Very valid points there, Eric. We appreciate the breakdown and the tax the living piss. I think that's the first time we've ever had that on PTD.
That's how it feels.
Man, you
It is
ain't
how it
lying though.
feels.
You ain't lying. All right, Leon, what are your thoughts?
That is, by the way, a metric that the IRS uses. There's a piss level that they have when you make enough money. I appreciate this question because, like Eric, I really didn't know the richest man in the world, and did a little research on him because I thought it was Elon. But from what I read, based upon Tesla's stock recently, Elon has taken this position back. So I think it's going to go back and forth. But what I enjoyed the most about reading, it's not like he started from the bottom by any means, but what he did do is take his father's construction company, $15 million from a liquidation on that side, to turn it into timeshares in France and in the Mediterranean. And he really utilized that to leverage into buying brands. And if you look at the Forbes list of top 10 wealthiest people in the world, they have either purchased or built massive brands: Microsoft, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, they have built these massive, massive brands. And what I loved about it is he made some bold and super strategic moves on a foundation built by that strategic move that he made with his dad's company in construction. And we all know that are in construction. If you can take that and get out of that, because the margins are a lot less in the construction business than they are in the real estate business, even though you need, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. You need both, but I'd rather be on the real estate side than the construction side. I was super impressed, and he was able to make some strategic and bold moves because of real estate.
Chop it up.
Like
So
Steve and Eric, do you guys think you're looking for other businesses because all the leadership skills you've found in your real estate businesses, you're like, wait a minute, I can transfer this other places?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jimmy, think about this. What's the normal house an investor looks for?
3.2, 1,200 square feet.
And what are the characteristics of the fixer-upper owned by an elderly owner, right? If I put 10 grand into it, I can get 40 back out. There's businesses out there that are the exact same. Think about the majority of investors' businesses. They can't step away from it. They're in the business for 25 years. And if they were to take their eyes off the prize for 2 days to go away on a trip, the business shuts down. So they have an income producing asset. They may want to retire. They can't sell the business. They can't turn it over to someone else. So a business that should probably sell at a 5 multiplier can be bought at a 1 multiplier. And then you come in and you implement systems and processes, elevated marketing and sales tactics. Now it has a repeatable, sustainable amount of profit. And you can turn $1 million net business into a $2 million net business that someone will pay $10 million for. So you buy it for 1, get it up to 2, and sell it for 10. Like, it's the same thing we do with houses, just higher stakes. That's all.
Yeah, you look at like in our industry, the reason why there's so like the systems and process and everything else is there is because this is probably, I don't know if there's a more cutthroat business, there may be out there, but this is one of the most cutthroat businesses, right? You've got to be on your A game to be doing well right now in this market. You've got to be on your A game, right? You've got to maximize every lead opportunity. You got to know ROI, cash conversion cycle for all your data sources and this and that. You got to manage your people at a high level so they don't leave to compete against you. There are a lot of things we have to do to execute right now. And that's not necessary in lower margin businesses. But in those lower margin businesses, they've got challenges that they can improve efficiencies that can increase those margins. So we can come in and add a ton of value to a business right now that they don't need all these systems and processes in place. So for us, I see an opportunity to come in, add our sales skills, add our marketing skills, add our leadership skills, add our financial IQ, and you can drastically improve business. Basically, you know what Marcus Lemonis has done over and over again with the Prophet, Alex Hormozy, right? He wrote a book just so other business owners can say, hey, I'll give you 30% of my business if you could just teach me everything you know, right? There's a lot of opportunity out there that we're all fighting over houses. And we got Kyle Mallion, you know, a peer, a colleague of ours, who's just buying all these businesses across the country.
All right, so that was an interesting round. I'm not gonna lie, it's a real noodle scratcher over here, and yes, I just said that for everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and do something that I've never done before. I'm gonna take a page out of RJ's book. I'm gonna go ahead and give a point to Steve and Eric on that round. That's what I'm gonna do, because that's just what I feel like doing right now. So, good answer, gents. Definitely appreciate it. Real quick, before we go on to our next question, we're gonna go ahead and kick it on over to Steve for a word from Kiavi.
Yeah. So with capital thinning in today's market, it is crucial for real estate investors to build relationships with reliable lenders to access the capital that they need. That's where Kiavi comes in. Whether you're flipping houses or investing in rental properties, Kiavi offers fast approvals, high leverage, and reliable capital to close more deals in any market environment. Through their easy online process and dedicated support, you can access the flexible loan options that help you scale your business confidently. Go to Kiavi.com/real estate disruptors to learn more and download your pre-qual letter in minutes. Terms and conditions do apply. So go to Kiavi.com for further details about potential loan options for you.
Awesome. All right, next question. This one, I think that we're probably going to get a unanimous decision. I don't know. How important is one's health and well-being for becoming a successful entrepreneur? We're going to go ahead and start this one off with you, Steve. Go ahead.
I think you're probably right with the unanimous here. So what was it? A person with a lot of money has lots of problems. A person with poor health has one problem, right? Like nothing else matters if you're not healthy, right? If you're sick, if you're on, God forbid, your deathbed, there's one thing you're wishing for, and it's to get back out there and be healthy. The other thing too is your body is your vehicle. You cannot do things if you're, hate to say it, right? But if you're grossly out of shape, it's going to be hard to execute. You're going to be tired all the time. You're going to be sluggish. So in order to be able to run a business the right way, you need a ton of energy. And if you're not taking care of your health, if you're eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew, getting Taco Bell or McDonald's all the time, you're going to have a hard time running a business. And let alone, not just that, people that are successful are not going to want to hang around with you. So I think your health and well-being are absolutely critical to your success.
Steve, did you just fat shame our entire audience?
Jesus.
If someone got hurt, that sucks.
Holy shit.
I'd like for Steve to explain what luggish means. He said if you don't exercise or
that's what you take to the airport. You're like, you're luggish.
All right.
I'm glad someone muted Eric.
I'm doing the Lord's work over here. Don't mind me. On an unrelated note, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel Steve's Taco Bell DoorDash delivery that was headed into the office right now. All right, Eric, what you got for us, boss?
It's funny. I started May of this year down a journey of taking better care of myself, and it was really prompted by a post from someone that has recently joined Collective Genius. The guy's name's Cole Taylor, and he wrote this article. And at first, I looked at it and I was mad. And it said, I think the first line said something like, "This will be an unpopular opinion. If you're fat and out of shape, no one takes you serious as a leader." And he had it in like bold, large font. And as you read down it, it's like anybody that you meet that's relatively new, their first impression of you is, how can you be a leader? You lack the discipline to take care of your body. How can you be a leader? You're probably always tired. How can you be a leader? You can't go up a flight of steps. And it really resonated with me. Since then, with his guidance, I've lost over 50 pounds, and it's been remarkable. So I can actually speak. While I have a long road to travel, I'm up now at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm active. I get to go do things like play basketball and compete and be with a group of friends. Like when we go to Collective Genius, and even when I'm home, I went 7-0 last trip, by the way, Steve. So I'm sure you were 7-0. You guys beat me 6-4. Finally, on day 4, you had to exhaust all options to get
back to the question.
So anyway, my experience as Collective Genius has changed as a result, which I already thought was as good as it can get, because now I'm able to enjoy that process more. So I think everybody would say that this is 100% critical, but there's lots of us out there that sometimes don't make decisions that align with that. So we constantly need to be reminded that taking better care of our bodies makes us smarter. We think quicker. We're more empathetic. We're more aware. It literally changes everything. When I work out at 5 a.m, I'm a better person from bell to bell throughout the day.
Absolutely love that, Eric. Congratulations on that. One thing that I do want to point out, though, unless you're time traveling, May of last year, not May of this year. So,
it's a rolling 12-month cycle. So it's always.
Eric's really good with criticism.
All right. Next
Is that a
up,
new sound
Leon,
effect?
what
That
you
was
got for
awesome.
us? Leon.
Oh, all right. I'm up. Well, I did not hear you there. Maybe because I'm not eating healthy enough. I can't hear. So they say health is wealth for a reason, right? I have been blessed to witness my good friend Eric Brewer through his journey recently of losing weight. He was a super successful person before he went on that journey. And I have seen him become a better business owner, a better father, a better friend. Well, we'll say a little bit better friend. But the other things I've seen him get so much better at as a leader. And, I look at this now, and especially as you start to get older, because in our 20s and our 30s, we think we can, do anything. I'm actually in better shape cardiovascularly from in my 40s than I was in my 30s because I have to, when leading an organization, both my investment business and also within the collective genius community, I have to be better. I heard Charles Barkley say something, one of my favorite people to listen to. I heard him say in an interview recently that his doctor said to him, "How many overweight people do you know that are old?" Like, seriously, people that are overweight, how many of them do you know in your 80s that are in their 80s or 90s, right? In order for all of us to continue to be the best of of who we can be, clearly, obviously health is wealth.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's a very valid point. It's unfortunately you just don't see it. All right, Jimmy, what are your thoughts, boss?
I think it's kind of like a chicken and the egg problem. Like, if you became a successful entrepreneur, but your health is garbage, like what's it really? Are you serving your business, or is your business serving you? And the importance of a morning routine, the importance of getting your brain active, getting moving before the rest of your team is up, I think is vitally important, not only to be a successful entrepreneur, but also to be a successful leader. Like, if you're waking up, and rolling in, like, right out of bed to your team, and you're clearly, this is the first hour you've been up, I don't think you're going to have that effective of a morning. Like, I like to have most of my stuff done before I interact with my team.
I like to know from Leon, I get that, 40s, you're healthier than your 30s. Like, how's your 50s so far?
That's a great question. I've got 4 more years to find out, thankfully. I'm on the other side of 40, but I'm not there yet. But I will say that, to Jimmy's point, I just ran my second half marathon and made the decision to run a marathon. Never thought I would, never wanted to, quite frankly. But there's something that, to Jimmy's point, with discipline. The word that we haven't really brought up here is discipline. And in order for us to get that across to our teams, to my kids, the example that I want to set for them in life, I think it all fundamentally starts with health. Because I can tell you this, I'm an absolute baby when I'm sick, and I don't get much done. And the days that I am sick, I miss out on a lot of things that I could have, helped with for my family and businesses.
Yeah, and I think, just again, kind of going back to your, we all said it, but the first impression, right? Like, you're going out, you're raising private capital, you're going out, you're trying to recruit top talent. We are a first impression society. There's no way to change that, right? If you show up, they're going to judge you. There's nothing you can do about that.
I think Jimmy actually said it best. It's like the chicken and the
Yeah.
He likes chicken
You know,
and eggs.
yeah.
He's just following his favorite president. It's fine.
That
He
was
starts
awesome.
talking about food and he just gets a delay. He's on delay and starts talking about food.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Drew, I saw you like waiting by your mic, waiting to hammer me on that one. I'm
Hey,
glad you got
Eric.
it.
He had a little bit of Mike Moulton moment there, didn't he? Like, chicken.
Jimmy, what do you have to say?
Oh man, never a dull moment on this show. We're gonna go ahead, just based on actually, walking the walk. We're gonna go ahead and give this round to Eric. Again, congratulations on the 50-pound loss. That's
Thanks, man.
absolutely amazing. I speak for everybody on the panel. That's great. We want to keep you around for a long time so we can talk some shit. But in addition to that, hopefully you can learn about that rolling 12-month, May of this year thing when we're in March.
I'll shoot you a process map on how that works if you like, Potter.
Absolutely. Please do. Please send it to potter@willnotrespond.com. Thank you.
Got it. Steve said that's where all your short sale leads go. So
absolutely, that's where they go. Does the panel have a backup plan if real estate completely crashes or it reverts to government control? Start us off, Eric.
I wouldn't say it's a backup plan because that would mean that I strongly consider what you just said as an option. I don't think that's going to happen in any of our lifetimes. But I would say that there would be signs of that coming, and a true, visionary leader should be able to see that as an opportunity. And at some point, the government's not going to be able to control and produce housing. There's just no way it can be done. So at some point where the government starts to take over potentially and have more of a say with things like rent control and things of that sort, I think it will inevitably create a new opportunity. And the real entrepreneurs will be able to identify where that is. Maybe it's construction, where the government doesn't do anything, right? They don't produce anything. They just control it and award the contracts to people that actually run profitable businesses, as opposed to the way that they run our budget. So, no, I don't have a backup plan. I think for the next, 60 to 70 years that I'm alive, real estate will still be in our control. But if something were to happen, I would just be certain that I can see where the opportunity is being created and make sure that I lean into it and one of the, first people to take advantage of it. So that would be my backup plan.
Absolutely. Opportunity always exists. All right, Leon, what about you, boss?
I think I've got the best backup plan of anyone. I'm going to be the NIL manager for Mr. Camden Brewer. Eric's son is a top high school football and basketball player. I'm going to go and find a way to get 10 to 15% of his money off of his NIL that he gets next year in college. Very proud of that young man. And so I'm going to milk Cam Brewer for 10 to 15% on my backup plan. Obviously, I'm joking. I believe in the Eddie Murphy backup plan. His saying, he never had a backup plan. He always knew that he was going to be a successful comedian and actor. And he always said that if I had a backup plan, that would have kept me away from the focus of doing what I truly love and want to do. So to Eric's point, I will figure out real estate. Whatever the next lane is, that's where we're going. And we'll take a strategic move to monetize whatever it looks like in the future.
Absolutely. No plan Bs over here. All right, Jimmy, the king of no plan B. What you got?
I would just say the ultimate hedge is delay. The ultimate hedge is to continue to refine, continue to build your leadership, sales, marketing ability. It's kind of what we were saying earlier in the call. It doesn't necessarily matter what industry you're in, but those skill sets translate into any industry. So whether that would be becoming a executive for somebody else's business in a different industry, or do what Steve and Eric were talking about, buying a business in a different industry, like the ultimate hedge is becoming a leader, marketer, and salesperson.
Perfect. All right, Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, again, like what we were saying earlier, I think everyone here's skill set is universal, right? We're in real estate, but it's that skill set's available or is usable anywhere. So whether it's a sales consultant, a management consultant, whatever, I think there are all sorts of different options. But so I don't have a backup plan, but if things change, I feel like all of us were very usable in a lot of different places. But now might be a good time to share my retirement plan. If real estate doesn't work out. I mean, I'm planning when I retire to join Congress and become the best stock trader of all time, right? I think that the perks of inside info and becoming 100 millionaire, was it a centimillionaire, right? There's so many centimillionaires in Congress, so that's my retirement plan. Once I'm done working, I'm just gonna go run for office. So I guess you call that it'd be an early backup plan, maybe.
You're going to need to buy some of the screenshots of our text messages from me if you ever think you're going to run for office and get away
I'm going to
with
make
it.
$100 million. I'll pay you whatever you want, Eric.
That's after you get to Congress. You got to get there first. If that stuff gets leaked, your chances are shot.
Profit share, Eric. Profit share.
There's one flaw in your backup plan there, Steve. You don't like people. You don't like to hug people.
Perfect politician.
He also hates human
Politicians
touch.
don't care about people.
Do you know how many babies you're gonna have to kiss and people you're gonna have to hug to become a politician?
Exactly.
He believes in social distancing.
We'll use ChatGPT to figure that out.
Yeah. Trang would have everybody on a permanent lockdown, so we wouldn't have to touch anyone.
Yeah, COVID. We're going to release COVID again. I'm going to run for office, and then
that'll play well in Arizona.
Good Lord. Okay, so I think we can all agree that Steve will be on the ballot in about 2036. That'll be a great time for everybody. We appreciate your support. A lot of text messages are going to be unsent in the group chat.
Presidentialcashoffers.com. I bought that domain so I can text blast.
Fantastic.
I'm surprised you guys didn't say as a backup that you were just going to become, social media stars. I mean, I thought that for sure would have been at least two of the three.
Jimmy already is.
He's got that plaque behind him.
Isn't that what that's for?
Yeah.
I thought that plaque meant I was already social media famous, so I didn't know it didn't even cross my mind.
I think he got that down in Branson.
At his vacation home.
Yeah, they give those out at Silver Dollar City, apparently.
Leon, you've been there. It's the greatest place on earth.
I wouldn't say greatest. It's awesome. It's not the greatest place on earth.
There.
Oh, man. All right. That was a great round. I appreciate everybody sharing their backup plans. Not going to lie. Going to give that round actually to Leon. Main reason why, way to capitalize off of Eric's son. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the plan. I go Eric's son first, and then I've got two sons following him.
Absolutely. That was a strategic move. I'm impressed with that one. Not going to lie. Okay. Question 6 coming from our audience here. How do you deal with your ego? I've reached the goal of financial freedom that I set 5 years ago, but instead of scaling back and taking less risk, I'm pushing harder and risking even more. Start us off, Leon.
Man, that's a tough one. I just, because it's for me, because I don't really, we all have egos. But one thing that we do within the Collective Genius and why this community has always resonated with me is we all check our egos at the door, because no matter how big you are in any facet of your life or business, there's someone out there that's bigger and better at something, right? It may not be better necessarily for you, but it's better or bigger. So for me, I don't care if I was a billionaire, I'd be the same person that I am today. I just may have a little bit more stuff. But I will also say there's nothing wrong with pushing the rock. As long as you set, your standards of this is aggressive, I've got a little medium risk, and then I've got, my opportunities for low risk. I think if you're diversified, you can still keep pushing the rock while, feeding your ego at the same time.
All right. Jimmy, what about you?
I'd say the way I deal with it is I think the best and worst part about being a business owner or a leader is that you're responsible for everything that happens. And, any business, there's constantly going to be mistakes happening. There's constantly going to be ways on getting over or getting better. And a big obstacle in my past to getting better and admitting fault has been my role in either not training somebody well enough, not giving clear enough direction. So I've been able to keep my ego in check. And I think it's a way to keep your ego in check when you take on responsibility, and that every time you have an adverse event, you're looking at what could I personally have done better because I am ultimately responsible.
Okay. Personal accountability. I dig it. All right, Steve, what you got?
I really appreciate this question. It's a really deep question. And, Leon talked about it. Every time we open CG, Jason Medley has the same exact presentation every single time. And a lot of people in there, like, oh, again. But he was so prescient. He was so right. We are experiencing a winter, right, in business. And he said, take chips off the table. Take chips off the table, right? So I'm not saying don't grow. Keep pursuing, right? Go out there and do more things. Just ask yourself, how can I do those things without taking as much risk? How can I reduce the risk? How can I reduce the downside? How can I continue to grow and expand and do more without taking on any more risk? I've been in private conversations where we're talking about multifamily. Like, a friend of mine has got some serious headwinds right now, some serious challenges, because he personally guaranteed a very large loan, right? And he literally everything is at risk right now because of this desire to grow and grow and grow and grow. And he was probably gonna be fine, but I think if you just look at how can you grow and do more while still taking some chips off the table while reducing risk. Like me personally, I am no longer signing any more personal guarantees. I don't care how great the opportunity is, right? I am no longer signing personal guarantees. These are things you got to look at as you're growing. So don't stop growing. Just how can you grow without risking what you've accomplished so far?
Very true, Steve. I'm going to need you to personally guarantee something for me. Just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there.
I'm Eric, my signature.
Eric, what about you, boss?
So I think each of these answers are pretty accurate. When I look at a question or a statement like that, I start to dig in a little bit. And I think the assumption is that the ego is what feeding this person's desire to obtain this more significant financial freedom. So I actually was thinking about it, and I split it into two. I think the question as it was stated on there was, I reached financial freedom 5 years ago and I'm still pushing. I think that's because we probably established a number that we thought would be attached to something else. So if I can just get $1 million, I'll have freedom of choices, freedom of time, freedom of decisions. And we get there and it's like, the money didn't provide me the actual tangible result I wanted. I got the money, but I didn't get the freedom. I think one part of that was we probably set the wrong goal. It wasn't the money. It was whatever we thought the money would allow us that should become the goal. Number two is, I think it's unfairly categorized as ego that drives us. The majority of people that I talk to, when you ask about why do you push, why do you do what you do, why is enough not enough? If you get a couple layers deep, it's almost always about somebody else. It's about their family, their children, their grandkids, their community, the school they grew up at, the neighborhood they're from, right? The neighborhood they live in now. I think it's the absence of ego. It requires confidence, and maybe a little bit of it feels selfish because we benefit from it. But I think generally what drives people, and this is my perception, is the ability to be able to do for others, not necessarily what we keep for ourselves. And those are the two parts. I think they got blended together, but one was financial freedom was attached to a number, and that's just not the case. It's financial and it's freedom. One doesn't guarantee the other. The first part was, is it ego driven? And I think the answer is no.
So Eric, that's a phenomenal answer. So he wrote a little bit more on the YouTube comment. So he said the follow-up to that was, I know I'm only doing it because I'm scared to lose the notoriety and praise that I get for achieving things as a young person. So to give you some more context to that question.
And I would say, why does the praise mean something to you?
Right.
What does the notoriety mean to you, right? Everything we look at oftentimes is I read a really good book called The Road Less Stupid, and he talks about so often what we do is we make decisions at surface level symptoms rather than root problems or root causes. So I've just started to condition myself to everything I look at, I question 3 or 4 times what, when, who, what, how. And when you get to the actual root cause or problem, oftentimes you'll be much better at making the right decision, not a surface level symptom decision.
I would just caution, based upon that second layer that was given, Steve, I would just caution, Jason talks about this quite often in CG, is don't take so much risk because of the praise that the ego is being driven by, that you set yourself up to have to start over. I don't know how old this person is, but I can tell you, I'm not, just to reiterate, I'm not in my 50s yet. But even at 46, I do not want to start over. I don't want to, none of us want to start over. So I would just caution that, all of us are A-type personalities that are driven, that set goals and set new goals once we accomplish those goals, right? Everyone on this call and CJ and RJ are the exact same way as well. At the same time, at the level in which we've all gotten to, not one of us has a big enough ego that we say we're going to risk everything that we might have to start over tomorrow. So I would just caution from that standpoint.
Yeah, and just plug in here, right? Like, I think if you haven't been watching Certainty Talks, right? Paul Sparks and I talk about this a lot, and then there's Rigging the Game by Dan Nicholson. Like a lot of the stuff that Eric talked about being very clear on why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you're not clear on why you're doing what you're doing, then all you're going to do is keep moving the goalposts. I am super guilty of that, and I imagine some of our colleagues here have been guilty of that in the past as well.
Yeah, what's the end in mind? That's what Paul talks about a lot. I love that about, for a young man, he's figured that out very, very early on. Start with the end in mind.
Is that it? Y'all got nothing else? Like, I see Jimmy over there. He looks like he's chewing on steel.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about more about the chicken and whatever.
Yeah.
I thought the panel did an adequate job answering the question. I didn't think I could really add much.
Wow, that's high praise from Jimmy. I mean, I think those are the most complimentary words he's ever used on the show.
This is a deeper topic. I didn't feel like it was appropriate to do Jimmy the Bull and talk shit on everybody on this question.
Getting everybody informed on this one. We're gonna go ahead and leave well enough alone on this one.
I thought it appropriate interrupting Leon purposely on this answer.
Outstanding.
I definitely do feel more informed though. Do I get points for being more informed now?
You lose points, actually.
Unfortunately, Steve, we're not going to give you any more points for that.
Oh.
All right.
Maybe the only thing I'd add for that guy is dude, this is going to be a constant battle that's been fought by the greatest philosophers, the greatest spiritual gurus for the last 3,000 years. So I guess enjoy that journey.
Yeah, literally, especially after Eric broke us down there, got all Freud on us and everything. That being said, on this round, I am going to go ahead and give it to Jimmy. But as everybody knows in the chat earlier today, I had already awarded a point to somebody on our panel. Now, does anybody want to tell who that is?
Leon?
I don't remember. Leon. That doesn't count.
No, it counts. Trust me, it does, because I'm in charge over here.
That was preseason.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're all over here working hard. So Leon also gets the chat point for the win, coming in with the bat signal, looking phenomenal for 50. We appreciate you, Leon. We do. Absolutely. That being said, thank you for everybody coming to Pardon the Disruption today. I apologize. I was taking a page out of RJ's book with regards to my scoring today. I'll do much better next week. I promise I will. I'm going to give every one of our esteemed panel some time to sign off. Go ahead and start us off, Leon.
Awesome time as always. Leon G. Barnes with the Collective Genius. Looking forward to hanging out with my brothers here on this call next week in California. First time we've been back since COVID started. Looking forward to that trip. A little fishing, a little education, lots of good stuff. As I said today in the chat, I'll show up and I'll show out. That's what we do. Same thing. Shout out to Cam Brewer. You do the same thing this weekend. Go get that NIL money for me. Let's go.
Leon needs a plan B over here. All right. Next up, Jimmy V, talk to us.
It was a little more of an introspective, kind of a deeper conversation, less chaos today. It was a different feel today. But thanks for having me on.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Absolutely. Chicken in. Next up, Steve, what you got for us?
So I think we should, put, for G, it should be Gotham, right? Like we sent the bat signal and he showed up. So appreciate Leon. And, again, we got our Sales Disruptors event coming up March 31st, April 1st, salesdisruptors.com. And I'm super excited. Looking forward to hanging out with these three guys, Collective Genius. We're going to be hanging out for 3-4 days, hanging out, talking business, growing our business, and maybe playing a little basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Last but certainly not least, my favorite guy to actually sit there and just bust chops. Eric, go ahead and send us out, boss.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Looking forward to tomorrow night to get to watch my son compete in the state semifinals against the number one team in the nation, Paul VI out of Chantilly, Virginia. Hopefully Saturday he's playing for a state championship, and then Sunday I fly out to San Diego to be with a few hundred of the nation's top real estate investors, educators, apartment syndicators, and three of these gentlemen on this call today. I'm looking forward to it. I'll spend about a week out in sunny California. It's like 19 degrees in Pennsylvania right now, so that's a welcome change of scenery. If you need any help learning novations, it's a hot topic in today's market. I give away a ton of free information and training on my Instagram. You can follow me at Eric_Brewer Invest. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. And real quick, Eric, just to go ahead and break it down for you with some bad news. It's snowing in California right now. I just want to let you know, like literally in LA and San Diego. So have fun on your trip. It's literally going to be like Pennsylvania. Everybody, thank you for joining us as always. I'm your host, Matthew Potter. Pleasure being here. Look forward to it next time. Hope everybody has an amazing day.
See ya.